It's time for Money for Lunch, where we feed your brain and your business with supersized portions of business and financial news. Now your host, Bert Martinez.
All right, welcome to Money for Lunch. You know, we are very blessed to live in America, and one of the blessings that come from living here in America is that we have limitless possibilities, right? We are not stuck where we're at. We can change, we can rethink, we can recreate ourselves, we can, fail today, succeed tomorrow. We could succeed today and fail tomorrow. Limitless possibilities. And just sometimes I think that we get so caught up that we forget about the limitless possibilities, right? Just throwing that out there. Just didn't have any other deeper thought than that. That no matter what the deal is, we have some great opportunities, and most of us, if not all of us, will fail multiple times before we succeed. And that is part of the plan. Absolutely part of the plan. All right, let's get it started. My first guest today, Jenna Moulton. Jenna Moulton owns a Scooters Coffee franchise in Omaha, Nebraska. And Alexa, tell us, what is Scooters Coffee?
Scooters Coffee is it started in Omaha, Nebraska in 1998, and we serve specialty coffee. We have coffee houses, we have coffee drive-thrus, we have fruit smoothies. It's a really fun place to work.
Excellent. And Jenna, I was actually talking to my buddy here from Amazon, but I'm glad that you mentioned that. And so what's interesting about your story is that you actually started in the company in 2007 as a barista, and then you kind of worked your way up, and now you own your very own location. Is that right?
That is right. Yes, in 2007 I started.
Okay, and so in 2007, were you? Give us your background at that point. Were you, fresh out of college? Where were you in life at that point?
In 2007, I became a brand new mom for the very first time, and I was looking for a part-time job at a coffee house. My first job that I had was at a mom and pop shop, and I worked at my first job for about 5.5, 6 years, and I became a mom in May 2007, and I was just looking for some part-time work back in the coffee business, and I applied at Scooters. Yeah.
Yeah, so you applied at Scooters, and from 2007, and when did you start owning your own franchise?
2016. So I was with Scooters for about 9.5 years before we took the leap and bought our own Scooters.
Wow. Okay. So I have to ask, why? What attracted you to Scooters Coffee as far as the opportunity? What was it about Scooters Coffee's opportunity that made you want to buy into it?
Really, so we are a national recognized brand, and one thing that I love about that is a lot of places you go, they know what Scooters Coffee is, especially in the Midwest. But it also has that mom and pop feel, a family feel still. Even though we're growing, we're expanding, we still have that family feel. And so back then, even when I started in 2007, I noticed that right away, and it just became more and more apparent as the years went on. Wow, we're growing. Wow, we're big. Wow, we're getting recognized. But it still felt like a family. And so that's really why we wanted to buy into it. We love the product, we love the company, and we just love what it's done for our personal family as well.
I like it. Okay, so when you got involved, when you guys decided to get started in your franchise, obviously that's pretty risky. That's kind of scary. Did you have some fears and some doubts? Talk about this.
I did have fear, and I had doubt. I never thought really I wanted to become an owner. I loved working for Scooter's Coffee. I loved everything it stood for. Why would I want to take a risk if I love what I'm doing? And we just got presented an opportunity one day, my husband and I, and really without even thinking too hard about it, we said, yes, let's do this. You know, I love being in the store. I love being a barista, and why not just make a career out of it, even more so, and have more freedom in the long haul? And so really that's what it came down to. It was just we didn't overcomplicate it, and we just said yes and took the plunge, really.
So now, do you work the business by yourself? Is it a husband and wife team? How is the operation?
So it's somewhat a husband and wife team. I'm in the store full time as I'm a barista and the owner. And my husband, he works at Harvest Roasting for Scooter's Coffee. He supplies, which Harvest Roasting supplies all of the beans and all the product to all the Scooter stores. So that's his full-time gig. But he does occasionally come in and help and all of that. But he's involved with the business. But I'm more on the hands-on day-to-day business.
Gotcha. Okay, so you have 3 kids, and are they involved in the business yet?
You know, I have a 10-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 4-year-old, and they're not so much involved in the business. But my 10-year-old, I bring him to work sometimes, and I kind of let him. I like when he watches me work when it comes to customer service and work ethic and integrity, and I just don't think you can really teach them even too young about that. So I bring them to work for an hour or 2 at a time, and I kind of show them, you know, what's important, and the people is really what's the most important about Scooter's Coffee, and I really try to teach him that. So when I bring him to work.
Absolutely. And I think that's, giving them the opportunity to observe not only mom at work, but having, mom interact with your customers, with your employees is a great learning experience as well. So let me ask you this. There's probably some people listening who are thinking about taking the plunge into owning their own business, or maybe even taking the plunge into owning a franchise. What are some of the things that you would give, what kind of advice would you give somebody about jumping into a franchise situation?
I would say, you have to like what the franchise stands for. And so what our franchise stands for, Scooter's Coffee, is obviously a great quality product, but it really comes down to the people that we serve, the people that we hire, the people that are on, the corporate staff. So if you like the core of the business, the people, the coffee, or whatever it may be, I think that you can succeed. But if you're just so about it, like, I think this will be good money in the future, but you're not really passionate about the actual company or the actual franchise, I say get out. But if you are passionate about the core of the company, take the plunge, take the risk, do it.
Absolutely.
Really.
And I want to emphasize what you said there. You got to love what you're doing. If you are just doing it for the money, I think that's a great formula for failure. But if you're doing it because you love to do it, then that's something different. Now, I'm assuming that you're a coffee drinker. Is that right?
I'm a huge coffee drinker. I make a pot of coffee before I even come to the coffee shop in the morning. So we are a huge coffee family. I don't know if I would be able to survive without coffee. I have a cup of coffee before work. I make my latte when I get to work. And before I leave for the day, I have another latte.
That's funny. Yeah. Interestingly enough, speaking of coffee, I read a story about Sylvester Stallone. And so when he was doing Rocky III, and I think that's the one where he fights the Russian guy played by Dolph Lundgren, for those of us who remember, he got really cut, really ripped for that movie. And anyway, he... in this interview I read, he said that he was drinking 25 cups of coffee a day.
Oh my!
And eating very little to get down to that really ripped cut situation. He says, obviously, I don't advise anybody to do that. It was completely unhealthy. It was dumb of me to do it. but at that time, that was the fastest way for me to get there. And anyway, so just as a side note, coffee, played a big part there in Rocky 3. All right, so let's talk about this. Challenges. You've been a franchise owner for how long now?
Oh, just since October, so about 10 months now.
Going up on your first year,
Yes.
What was like the biggest surprise or challenge going from an employee to an owner? Anything that stands out?
There wasn't too many challenges. The people at Scooters Coffee really helped us get to where we are very smoothly, very seamlessly. So there wasn't too many challenges, I would say. I mean, yes, there were some different things that I needed to learn when it comes to the books and taxes and all of that. But really the biggest surprise would be the freedom that you kind of have owning your own business, just when it comes to just so much. And there's just so much freedom, and it's fun. Every day it's fun because, again, I'm passionate about what I do. And to realize every day I'm walking into work that this is mine, this is my future, it's pretty cool. It's real. I mean, really, that's awesome.
And I'm going to pick on one of the words that you use, which is, you said, kind of freedom, because as business owners, especially in the very beginning, we do have some freedom, but at the same time, we're on the clock 24/7. Do you feel that way? Is that you're constantly thinking about the business?
Yes, but I was trained super well with Scooters because I was with them for about 9.5 years before. And so they really invest a lot in their people when it comes to management and, the future. So they really trained me very well when it comes to thinking about the business 24/7, when it comes to being, basically on the clock 24/7. So that was something I didn't know I was going to be grateful for then, but I am grateful for now.
Now, okay, so you bring something up, and I think this is an area where a lot of small businesses fail, and that is in the training. I think that a lot of people kind of their training program is to train from the hip, so to speak. They don't have stuff written down. Scooters, I'm assuming, had everything written down. They had a system for everything. Oh
yes, and a system for everything, and they're always trying to improve, trying to see where can they do better. Of course, the main things is amazing coffee, amazing people, amazingly fast, and we fine-tune those, but then they try and continuously train, whether it's their baristas, the management, the franchisees. There's constant tools when it comes to training. And they really want, each individual to succeed, what department they're in. So that's one thing that I've always seen and I've always trusted when it came to Scooters.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so as a what do you call it? Before you were the manager of the store. Now, did you by chance take over the store that you were the manager of?
No, I did not. That store I did not take over. I took over a completely different model. The one that I managed was a drive-through and a sit-down, and the one that I took over is just a kiosk, so just a drive-through.
Oh, interesting. Just a kiosk.
Yes.
When you say just a drive-through, okay, so paint a picture for me. Obviously, okay, you're saying it's not a sit-down retail type location. People just pull up one end, grab their coffee, and go. So it's a smaller location.
Yes, a smaller location, only drive-through. So they stay in their cars, they order at the speaker box, and we deliver their coffee at the window. So
Gotcha.
We're mostly drive-through anyway with Scooters Coffee. So I just thought this is the perfect location.
Now, as far as overhead, I'm assuming this has got to be a lot less overhead than if you had a retail location with sit-down, because you don't need as many. Well, first of all, you don't need as much space, so you're not paying as much in rent. You don't need as many employees. Am I right thinking this?
Exactly. You're exactly right. Overhead is much cheaper.
Yeah. And coffee is one of those great products that has a lot of profit built into it. And so if you're able to trim your labor, then you're really able to leverage the profitability that coffee brings.
Exactly. Yes.
All right, so here you are. You're coming up on your first year. Have you had any thoughts of, okay, this is working pretty good. I'm thinking maybe expanding in a year or two, or have we not gotten there yet?
I haven't gotten there yet. I'm very slow when it comes to taking the plunge, but I haven't thought about that yet.
Yeah. You know what? And I want to point this out because in the beginning of the show, you were talking about the difference that Scooters is, right? What Scooter stands for is this family-friendly environment, and not to take anything away from Starbucks. You know, Starbucks is a great experience. They have a great atmosphere, but it's not. It's totally different from the Scooters experience. From your description, when I think of Starbucks, I'm not thinking of this family-friendly type environment. Not that they're not friendly, not that it's not a good environment, but it's a different environment. It's really more corporate environment. It's still a good experience. Still, they still deliver good coffee, but it's a brand. Difference. And I just wanted to point that out, that here you are, you're in the same business, you're delivering a similar product, but the experience is totally different.
Yes, and that's where I think we get a lot of our customers, too. They love the experience that they get from Scooters. And I will never, ever knock Starbucks. You know, obviously they know what they're doing. But the experience that we give each individual customer at each Scooters Coffee House location, I believe it's just a different experience.
Right.
It's more family.
Right.
More friendly.
Right.
Friendlier, I believe.
More friendly. Yeah, and then to take that difference one step over is you're a drive-through kiosk, and so if somebody is looking to sit down at a coffee shop, they're going to pass your kiosk. They may go to another Scooters that offers the sit-down experience, but if somebody wants to grab their coffee on the go, they're going to stop by your kiosk because it's exactly what they're looking for.
Exactly, yes.
Now, are you in a busy parking lot? Tell me about your location.
We are right off of I-80 in Omaha, Nebraska. So we have a lot of people coming off the interstate, going to the interstate, traveling. We're more in a business district, I'd say. There's a lot of car dealerships around. So we're not necessarily in that neighborhood, but we are in a very busy street corner in central Omaha, I'd say.
Gotcha. And so, again, because of your location, it sounds like it's a prime location, and you make you're attracting your traffic. They're stopping by because your convenience to them as they're getting off or getting on the I-80 there. Am I right? It's just a high traffic area? You're
correct, yes. High traffic area.
I love it. And this is great because I've not heard of Scooters. As you said, it's really well known there in the Midwest. And, since you're there in Omaha, Nebraska, of course, I'm thinking Warren Buffett is probably keeping an eye on you guys. He's waiting for where you hit that multi-billion-dollar mark so he can gobble up Scooters. I've heard, I don't know him, but I've heard he's a wonderful guy to work for. And he doesn't change anything. He likes investing in very, successful companies and leaving them alone. So, it's going to be fun to see what Warren Buffett does, if anything.
Yeah, that would be fun to see. Just waiting for that perfect opportunity, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I mean, he is known as a coffee drinker. I know that much. And like I said, he seems like a very unpretentious guy from the interview. He seems like your typical Midwestern, right? Just very homey, down to earth, and not afraid of working hard. Let's talk about charity causes real quick. As a business owner, are you involved in any charitable causes? Is Scooters involved in any charitable causes?
One thing awesome about Scooters is they have a program. It's called the Day of Giving, where they help each individual store or franchisee. They help them with a charitable cause. We actually do have a charitable cause. It's the JDRF, so the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And so it hits close to home for us. Our youngest daughter, during the process of owning our store, was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And so we really got involved with the cause right away. We had a day of giving where 100% of each individual's purchase went straight to that to that cause. And so we had our first one. It was on a snow day in the Midwest when all school was canceled, and we raised more than we ever would have thought. And so we were able to give back to the JDRF, and it goes full circle. You know, the JDRF has helped us, so we wanted to help them, and then Scooters wanted to help us help a cause that was close to our heart. And so they did all our marketing. They pushed so much social media out for us. They got the word out, and it was an amazing, amazing experience. And, you know, I get really emotional talking about it because it's such a dear cause to our heart, and Scooters knows that, and they were with us 100 steps, or 100% of the way when it came to this cause. And it was just, they don't only do it for us, they do it for any cause that is close to somebody's heart. So it's awesome how they do that.
Yeah, that's incredible, and it's good to do that. It's good to be in a position to give back. I think that it's been said many times, you know, that the secret to living is giving, and I think that it's a great way to, I think, reconnect you with humanity when you give back to a favorable charity or a cause, or you help somebody. I think it's always good. You know, it's good for all of us to do that. It's a great way to, you know, stay connected, kind of stay humble, and realize that it's not always about the money. Success is great when you can share it with your favorite charities.
Exactly, and I like how you said stay humble, because that's one thing that Scooters has taught me throughout the years is staying humble. That's one of our core values. And, you know, when they came up with the Day of Giving, it was just, yes, this is something that Scooter stands for, and staying humble and connecting with people, and that's exactly what it does.
Yeah, I love it. Jenna, thank you so much for stopping by. Looking forward to having you back again, talking more about Scooter's success and running your own business. Thank you so much for stopping by today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. Good stuff there from Jenna Moulton out of Omaha, Nebraska, where she is running her very first business as a, owner-operator of a Scooters franchise. So a lot of good insight there. And as always, remember, you were created to succeed.
Tune in Monday through Friday here on Money for Lunch, and check out our website at moneyforlunch.com.